I'm just gonna record some stuff so that I get used to walking with the camera. It is Monday, the 5th of January 2026 now, and it's the first full working week of the year. I'm off, unusually, on a Monday. I had a lot of plans for today, but I haven't done any of them. But one of the things I wanted to do was to film some content, to do it in the fresh air and to have a walk at the same time, and so that's what I'm doing. I have got something to do in about half an hour, and I also need to go to the shop, but I thought it was important to fit this in. So this is just a little experiment to see if I can walk and talk at the same time, and it's not going too badly. Not sure what's happening with my hair there. Okay, anyway, what I'm going to talk about today. 2025 was a really hard year. I think it was challenging for a number of reasons. I run a business and I had lost my way a little bit with the business and wanted to go back to what my initial aim was in the business, which was to be a content creator. So I spent 2025 refocusing on that. That was compounded by the unfortunate death of my father at the end of 2024, and which brought up a lot of stuff for me. I wasn't actually talking to my father before he died, and he died in a really unfortunate situation. So there was a lot of guilt, a lot of recrimination, and a lot of expectation as the oldest daughter to do things that I wasn't really prepared to do. Worked through that, but it was hard with family members, hard because I was grieving, even though the relationship had broken down, but he was my father. One of the things that has propelled me to do more content and has been the inspiration has been that when my father died, I had contact with my ex, who I'd been avoiding, frankly, and he phoned me 2 days after my father died and listened to me while I said my father had died. He knew that the relationship was difficult, and then proceeded to talk about himself for the next hour and a half, which made me realise I wanted to let go of that relationship, not even to be friends, because being friends sort of didn't make me feel good. And now I realise that my nervous system was going into overdrive, and I was like literally going to panic mode every time he got in touch, and it took me a long time to get out of that panic mode after we'd had any contact. So at that particular contact, which as I said was just 2 days after my father died, I told him that I didn't want to be in contact with him anymore, and that was that. Also, I thought I was devastated by that, and Christmas was hard in 2024 for lots of reasons, including the death of my father, but the sort of breaking off contact with my ex was another reason for that, and that went into 2025. So the business failed, trying to make a go of something else, realised that I'm very enthusiastic and I want to do well, but it takes me a while to focus. I have ADHD and I want to do everything at once, which hasn't changed. But I started the process of, and it did help, the discipline of writing. I tried to do, but that's quite difficult to do. It did help. Carried on. I had a couple of clients from the business I've been running who kept me going, but at a much reduced rate. I now realise that I'm probably not the best businesswoman, to be honest, but difficulty in charging what I'm worth, basically. But they did keep me going. For that I'm very grateful. I kept going, I guess. Things happened. I worked part-time in hospitality and had a few new experiences doing that. Kept myself busy, I guess. And I love working in hospitality, and I'll talk about that another day. Very different to nursing and the NHS and running a business. Things came to a head, I think, in June or July. I can't remember, when my ex, I thought I'd blocked my ex, but somehow I hadn't, either consciously or unconsciously. And he got in contact again and told him that a mutual friend of ours was dying. I don't think my ex realised he was dying, but I realised he was dying because I'm a nurse and I know these things. And I felt an overwhelming sadness about that, and contact our mutual friend, but that would necessitate being in contact with my ex, which I find really difficult. Did have contact with my ex. Our friend died about 2 months, and then I wanted to go to the funeral, which meant that I would be seeing my ex again after nearly 9 months, actually a year, because I hadn't seen him for Christmas. Oh my God, it's slippy. Did you see that? So the funeral came. I was strangely motivated to look my best. Thank you, my ex, for that. And we had a really good time at the funeral. As far as possible, our mutual friend's a black guy, an amazing guy, a real character. And yes, it is possible to have an amazing time at a funeral. He would have loved it if he'd have been there. Well, he was. And I got on really well with my ex. I think the hopeful, positive bit of me really wanted things to be different this time. Probably hoped that I would get back together with him because we get on really, really well. But that great connection and getting on really, really well disguised as some terrible things, really toxic things that aren't really sustainable with a long-term relationship. And we did keep talking for a couple of days, but I had a sudden realisation that whatever I did, whatever I said, and I saw my role really clearly as somebody who was there to support him, but he wasn't really there to support me, that our conversations were because he was bored and needed stimulation, and I mean that in a just literal conversation way, and that all my little hopes and dreams were never ever going to be satisfied, even if it was just briefly. It would be soon dashed, because that's sort of like how our relationship was. And I decided, and I said, and this is probably quite a mean thing to say, that I was gonna, we were both very upset about our friend dying and miss him still terribly. I said, I'm gonna pretend that you're dead. I was quite hurt by that, I think, but at that point I didn't care. And that's what I did. I think this was in August, at the end of August, or beginning of September. And I was devastated, to be honest, because I think part of me has been grieving my dad, and part of me has been grieving all the disastrous relationships that I've had in all my adult life, which I will bore you with another time. But I think I was grieving the potential. I thought I met my forever person, and I quite clearly hadn't. And there was a mismatch, and I do take responsibility for something there between my expectation and his expectation. And he would have been friends in inverted commas forever, but that would serve him better than it would serve me. I've just come to a dead end, have I? No, I haven't. So I did that. I cut him off. I did the no contact thing, which my friends and family had been saying to me for 5 years. Because we first got together in the midst of the pandemic in 2020. So it's now 2026. I went no contact at the end of August, I think. And here we are in January 2026. And I had to do something with all that energy, all of that grief, I guess. So what I decided to do was do some TikToks. It's sort of like, I think I've always been a person who's been motivated by people telling me I can't do things. And it served me well, actually. So my children were very sceptical about me being a TikTok. I started, and I've been talking about my experience and decided to call it Healing in Public, because at first when I was doing it I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. But what I'm thinking is it's an experience of healing, and I'm doing this in public, so I called it Healing in Public, and we'll see how we go with that. But it's about what it's like to be in your now late 50s and starting again, starting from scratch, giving up dreams and that you make that I had for a relationship. I got divorced when I was 40, and I thought that I would go into a new relationship straight away and maybe have another baby, and that did not happen. And I guess I've been a sort of serial monogamous, and with a series of suitable men, shall we say, people that I would advise if I was my own best friend, and I'm trying to be, that I'd advise myself against. So I'm trying to about it, and I know that I'm not the only one. That's what I found out by documenting a little bit of it. I haven't talked about it much, like the details. This is the most I've ever spoken about the actual details, but I know I'm not alone. So if that sounds of interest to you, I'll do a bit more of this and add to the little TikToks that I've been doing and on YouTube as well. And let's see how we go in 2026. I think it's going to be good. So I've started from a different place. Like, I had a really good Christmas and a really good New Year, even though I was on my own at New Year. I just felt differently about it. Last year I was very desperate and pretending to have a good time, but this year I had a real time. My family and my friends are really, really good. So that's it. I've come to the end of my journey. I've got to go to the shops. I'm Dawn. I'm healing in public. If this resonated at all with you, give us a follow or subscribe, and I'll see you again. You take care. Bye bye.